Welcome, this is Najma Minhas with Global Village Space. Joining me is Dr. Moeed Pirzada, and today we're going to be discussing what's behind the recent tensions between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. Moeed, recently Pakistan returned $1 billion back to Saudi Arabia. Was this because of the Pakistan's Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi's comments on the OIC?
No, not at all. I mean, it's almost everyone believes, not only in the Pakistani media, the Indian media, the international media, the Asian media, they have commented in a way as if the two things were connected. The two things more or less simultaneously happened, that within the last 7-8 days, Pakistan returned $1 billion to Saudi Arabia and then, took a parallel loan from the Chinese. And at the same time, Shah Mahmood Qureshi made first comments in the popular prominent television anchor Kashif Abbasi's program, and then subsequently also said them in English. And then the Foreign Office also made comments to that effect. And the two things got mixed up in people's mind as if that Saudi Arabia is somehow other reacting to Pakistan's position on OIC, and especially with Kashmir. Since the Indian media had an axe to grind on it, I mean, they merged the two things together, giving the impression that Saudis are upset because Pakistan is pushing them on Kashmir. In reality, there are issues between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. The issues are actually building up since 2015, the Yemen war. And Kashmir is a very minor part of the larger.
So if it's a very minor part, I mean, it's not just the Indian media, the whole international media also put the connection with Kashmir, that the fact that Pakistan has returned this money and also the deferred oil payment has been taken back, or we're not utilizing it, for example. That's all been linked to Kashmir and his comments on the OIC.
Yeah, that's very interesting why Kashmir got linked up in the whole thing. We have to understand in Pakistan that India has a very disproportionately large presence let it be Reuters or Agence France, or it's the Turkish agency Anadolu, or it's the Russian agency RT, or it's the financial services Bloomberg. And the reason is that when you look at the largest English-speaking country, for instance, is the United States, which has a population slightly more than 300 million. But within United States, when you look at very young people, children, babies, geriatric population, and people who speak Hispanic and other languages, so the active users, adult population that uses English as for effective reading, writing, and research is not more than 100 million, or probably less than 100 million. Well, India, where it is described as the middle class population is between 200 to 300 million or more, there are easily more than 100 million adults that can converse well, that can use English for research, writing, publication, whatever. And they thus provide the largest human resource potential to international news agencies, be it Reuters or Agence France, or the Turkish agency Anadolu, or the Russian agency RT, or the financial services like Bloomberg or FT. And now there are so many other, web portals and things like this, and they contribute in a huge way. And not only this, also in terms of social media, when you look at now Facebook, I think almost 400 million Indians, if not more, are using Facebook, which is almost twice the size of the Facebook users across the United States. And same with the use in Twitter, and same with YouTube, and same with, other platforms like Instagram.
So you're saying that largely is driven by Indian interests. But why? Why would they focus on Kashmir as this?
It's very simple. I mean, just like, if Pakistanis were present in a very large number in editorial position, assistant editors, contributors, writers, research writers, Pakistanis will start bringing up their own perspective on Kashmir, on Muslim world, Middle East, on Turkey, on India. Wherever the Pakistanis will get the opportunity, they do it. But unfortunately and sadly for Pakistanis have a very limited presence on the international English media. They have a very small English media within Pakistan as well. So Indians are written large. And
so you think basically it's because the Indians want to give the perspective that no one else is really interested in Kashmir the way Pakistan is trying to portray it?
On any development related to South Asia, whether it's Indo-US relationship, it's Pakistan-US relationship, it's Afghanistan, it's Pakistan's relationship with Middle East, it's Pakistan's relationship with anything, and Kashmir, of course, is very important, the point of contention for Indians. So in the way headlines are picked up, the way subtitles are picked up, the way first paragraph is introduced, you see, in every news story that is released by international news agencies like Reuters or AFP or Bloomberg, the fresh news is only first paragraph. The first news is only one line. Over here, the news is that Pakistan was asked by Saudi Arabia to return $1 billion and has arranged a parallel financing from from China, and then Pakistanis are having differences on OIC issue. So the Indian editorial mind very quickly connects the two things together, and then the Pakistanis have done more or less the same, because what I have done the research is, while talking to several people in Islamabad, is that Pakistani media connects things together which are not, because of lack of real understanding in issues. Now Saudi request. There were Saudi tensions with Pakistan that are going on from 2015. Off and on, Pakistan and Saudi Arabia resolved those issues, but then the issues come back, dating from the war in the Yemen, which Prince Mohammed bin Salman, when he was defense minister, before he became the crown prince in 2017, he was steering the direction, and he thought that he very easily believed that Pakistanis should come and fight and contribute troops to the war effort in Yemen, and when Pakistanis refused, and it was Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif who was slightly sympathetic to his cause but also understood the challenges, and then took the whole issue to parliament, and there was a ferocious debate in the Pakistani parliament in which Saudi elite and Saudi Arabia were discussed in a very unkind fashion.
Right. So the tensions you're saying relate back to 2015 between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan?
With both Saudi Arabia and UAE, Pakistan had difficult moments because of the Yemen war, which were resolved subsequently by the intervention of the Pakistani establishment. Worked very hard. General Rahil Sharif, then President Chief as well. Then Imran Khan worked very hard in resolving those issues. Issues were momentary. At times it looks that the issues have been resolved, but issues then come back in different forms, right? So the issues are continuously lingering.
So what is directly responsible right now for these particular tensions? You're saying, I mean, why now at this point in time?
The present tensions flared up once again around November and December last year, 2019, when the then Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad came up with the idea of a Kuala Lumpur summit, and Pakistanis promised Prime Minister Imran Khan didn't see any problem in that, and Pakistan didn't even realize that how much of a threat, challenge and insecurity it would produce in Saudi Arabia. Saudis basically saw this as a parallel platform to OIC, and then took a very strong position that Pakistani Prime Minister should not participate. There was a lot of actually bad feeling in Pakistan, heart-wrenching in Pakistan, that why the Saudis have stopped. But Pakistani Prime Minister obliged the Saudis by not participating in the Kuala Lumpur summit.
I mean, Shah Mahmood mentioned this specifically, in fact, in his comments.
Yes, I mean, Pakistani Foreign Office believes that Saudis need to understand that how much we do really, take into consideration the Saudi concerns and Saudi feelings, that despite the fact that we are looking at our relation with Qatar, I mean, all of these are now the difficult points between Pakistan and Saudi relationship. Pakistan relationship with Qatar, very warm relationship. Pakistan's, balancing act with Iran. Pakistan's relationship with Malaysia. Pakistan's relationship, especially with Turkey, a very strong relationship with Turkey. Turkey has always been the most popular, non-controversial Muslim country on the Pakistani street and in the Pakistani media. And Pakistanis have a massive feeling of love, which you can see in terms of Ertugrul, Esra Belish, Erdogan, AKP party, even a feeling against, Ataturk. So Turkey is a very, very popular country. Two countries on Pakistani street are very popular, unquestioned. Turkey, Muslim Sunni country, and the second is the atheistic, communist, Marxist China, right? So Pakistani Foreign Office has been trying to tell the Saudi elite and the people around Mohammed bin Salman that we have issue-based relationship with Turkey, with Malaysia, with Iran, and with everyone else. And with you, we have a comprehensive relationship. We even guarantee you that if there is a threat to the geographical integrity of Saudi Arabia, we will use force to defend Saudi Arabia. And no other Muslim country, including Egypt, is prepared to make those kind of guarantees. But yet, the Saudi expectations from Pakistan have somehow or the other grown in such a way that gives rise to these resentments. But there are other issues in Saudi Arabia itself.
So what are these tensions within Saudi Arabia itself?
You see, look, we have to understand that ever since the creation of the Saudi Arabia as a state after the collapse of the Ottoman Empire in 1921, and the rise of Saudi Arabia as a powerful state in Middle East, even before the oil boom when Saudi Arabia didn't have the money. Saudi Arabia had a form of government which was by consensus. It immediately turned out from 1930s, Saudi Arabia has been a serious ally of United States and United Kingdom when there was a British Empire as well. And then it was overtaken by the American power. And the initial meeting which took place in the late 1930s and early 40s between Franklin Delano Roosevelt and the then Saudi monarch, there has been a very close relationship between Saudi Arabia and United States and between the Western world, right? It has been a very reliable player. But the form of the government in Saudi Arabia, while it was an autocracy and people misunderstood it as a personal kingdom and dictatorship, it wasn't really a king that was really taking all decisions. So there was, in fact, a consensus and an alliance between hundreds of princes, between the Saudi elite, the family, Al Saud family, and and also between the Saudi clergy. From 2015 onwards, ever since Prince Mohammed bin Salman emerged as the defense minister and then became the crown prince in 2017, that elite consensus in Saudi Arabia has been cracking. Not everyone in Saudi Arabia in 2015 thought that Prince Mohammed bin Salman should have taken the decision to go on war in Yemen. That was not considered an elite decision. And then in 2017, the detention of the Saudi princes on charges of corruption, or more money was taken out of them in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, the famous incident. Then the way the Jamal Khashoggi thing has taken place, unfortunately, if you look at the 70, 80 years of the Saudi monarchy history, you don't see any such incident of Saudis going and being implicated or even accused and alleged of a murder on a foreign soil, the way it happened. Right. And then of all the places it happened on Turkish soil, right? So there's a lot of tension. I mean, the Ottoman Empire, I mean, from Turk's point of view, from Erdogan's point of view, how dare someone, Mohammed bin Salman or anyone in Saudi Arabia, think that they can come and commit this kind of thing on the Turkish soil, right? I mean, this is the former Ottoman Empire, right? Had this thing happened in Islamabad, I'm sure would have been hushed up. It would not have been leaked. It would not have become a news, right? So on any other Muslim country, they probably would have actually, sort of put a carpet on it. But for Turks to absorb this thing, I mean, the Turks who have ruled Hijaz for plus 400 years or 500 years, right, for them to accept, that Saudis can come and do something on Turkish soil, I mean, it's very difficult for them. I mean, imagine Pakistanis going and doing something in London, like something like this, an abduction or a killing in London. How would the British react to it? So it's that kind of thing one has to understand. So the Yemen, the way it was done, the detention of the Saudi princes, the style of decision making, which is not by consensus, a real king emerging in Saudi Arabia.
And economically, I mean, Saudi Arabia is under pressure, which adds to the tensions.
Yes, of course. I mean, the Vision 2030 and then the desire to balance and bring $160 billion of non-oil revenues by 2020, which is not happening. And now, even when now after the war with the oil price war with Russia, now even when the oil is like $40 a barrel, Saudi Arabia is unable to meet its oil revenues from their oil revenues. Right. So all these things are creating a lot of problems. Then there is the leadership issue as well, the OIC thing with Turkey.
So I mean, we're hearing a lot about the fact that Shah Mahmood Qureshi also mentioned that if Saudi Arabia doesn't call this Council of Foreign Ministers meeting, maybe he'll think of alternatively getting together with a couple of countries, where he mentioned Turkey, Iran, and Malaysia, and having this discussion over Kashmir. Now, do you see this breaking up of the OIC in some fashion?
I think Pakistan...
What's happening to Muslim leadership?
I think it's somehow or the other, Shah Mahmood Qureshi did it as a media diplomacy. Pakistan is not moving in that direction for its obvious reason, because for Pakistan, Saudi relationships are very important and very dear. But there is emerging a serious challenge to Saudi leadership of the Muslim Ummah. Now, ask why, and it has to be understood.
Why?
Why? That's the important question, because the total population of the whole of Middle East, that includes Turkey and Iran and Egypt, is slightly more than 400 million, right? Saudis are only 30 million something of that population, right? 34 million and 35 million. Now, Egypt is more than 100 million, which is a strong ally of the Saudi Arabia at the moment, because Saudi Arabia is financing and helping Egypt in a big way, and Morsi regime's removal, Saudi Arabia played a huge role in financing the change in Egypt. But 85 million population is Turk, about 80 million population is almost close to Iran, and 40 million is Iraq. Pakistan alone, if you move out of the Middle East, Pakistan is 220 million, Indonesia is almost 250 million, 275 million population. Bangladesh, you know, is a huge population, almost close to 200 million. Right. And in all these countries, what country is playing a role? It is China, right? So China is very deeply, has a relationship and investment in Pakistan. Pakistan and China are the most reliable strategic partners. Right. China is emerging as a huge partner with Turkey. China is emerging a partner with Iran. China is emerging as a huge influence in Bangladesh. If China flexed its muscle in Bangladesh, Indian strategists fear it can wean away Bangladesh, because Bangladesh is a country that needs external support to prop itself up. So if China decides, I'm not sure, I don't know for sure, that if China has already decided that there should actually be a rival Muslim bloc in leadership, right? We're not sure of that. But if China moves in that direction, and if Turkey, which sees itself as a potential leader, because the Kemalists were not interested in Muslim leadership. Kemalists, they totally shunned, they were only had a nominal
Right. They were looking towards Europe.
They were looking towards Europe and the West. And they didn't want to basically get into, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk had laid a principle that we don't want to basically get into Middle East and Muslim world. Right. But after 2002, AKP and Erdogan are seriously interested in the Muslim world, and Erdogan has emerged as the most popular Muslim leader on the Arab street and the Muslim street. Look at Pakistan, for instance. Right. So if Pakistan, if Turkey can bring Iran along, and if Pakistan joins in, and if Indonesia joins in, then Saudi leadership has serious problem. And all of this can actually have a backing and a nod from China. I mean, so while Saudi Arabia deals in its usual traditional assertiveness since 2015 with Pakistan and other Muslim world, it has to see that it has feet of clay in terms of leadership of the Ummah. Iran was already on record several years ago that the status of Makkah and Medina should be something like the Vatican in Italy. Right. It should not be under the direct Saudi control. If other Muslim countries start saying the same, for instance, if Turkey starts saying the same, if Indonesia starts saying the same, if Pakistan starts joining in, what will happen to Saudi moral authority?
Right. We thank you so much for your time today. I think at least two issues have come up which I'd really like us to explore further. One is the China and China's role in the Muslim countries, and second is whether Makkah Medina should be made into an independent territory similar to the Vatican. So I'd love to discuss those further with you in the following programs.
In a follow-up discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.